He woke with a jolt. Disoriented, confused, his vision swam, blurry shapes resolving into an alien landscape. Where was he? He tried to sit up, but his body felt wrong, heavy, unfamiliar. He looked down at his hands. They were not his hands, they were scaled, three-fingered, claws extended. Panic seized him. What had happened to him? His mind raced, desperately trying to grasp at fragments of memory. There was a mission, a strange energy signature, then nothing. He was a scientist, he was sure of that much. But who was he now? He had to find answers, had to find a way back. But first he needed to understand where he was. He pushed himself to his feet, the alien limbs moving with an unsettling grace. The ground beneath him felt both familiar and foreign, a strange mix of textures that made each step a challenge. His senses were overwhelmed, every nerve ending tingling with the newness of it all. The air hung heavy and humid, thick with the scent of strange, pungent flora. Each breath he took was a reminder of how different this world was from his own. The plants around him seemed to pulse with life, their bioluminescent glow casting eerie shadows on the ground. The sky, if it could be called that, pulsed with an eerie luminescence. Swirling colours danced across the horizon, creating patterns that were both mesmerizing and disorienting. It was as if the very fabric of reality was different here, bending and shifting in ways he couldn't comprehend. He stumbled through the alien vegetation, each step a jarring reminder of his predicament. The ground was uneven, covered in roots and vines that seemed to reach out and grab at his feet. He had to keep moving, had to find some semblance of safety in this chaotic world. He had to find someone, anyone, who could help him make sense of this nightmare. The isolation was suffocating, the silence between the alien sounds almost deafening. He longed for a familiar face, a voice that could offer some comfort in this madness. Sounds, alien and disorienting, assaulted his ears. It was a symphony of the unknown, a cacophony that made it hard to think. Every rustle, every chirp, every groan was a reminder that he was far from home. High-pitched chirps and clicks, deep, guttural groans. The sounds seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, echoing through the dense foliage. It was as if the very air was alive with the voices of this alien world. The cacophony made his head spin. He felt dizzy, disoriented, as if the ground was shifting beneath his feet. He had to find a way to block out the noise, to focus on the task at hand. He had to focus, had to find a way to survive in this strange new world. Every step was a battle, every breath a struggle. But he couldn't give up. He had to keep moving, had to find a way to adapt. But how could he possibly survive when he didn't even recognize his own reflection? His face, distorted and unfamiliar, stared back at him from a pool of water. It was a stark reminder of how much had changed, of how far he was from everything he knew. Days turned into weeks. He learned to navigate the alien terrain, to hunt for sustenance using his new, unfamiliar body. He observed the creatures around him, mimicking their movements, their sounds. It was a matter of survival. He had to blend in to avoid detection. He still didn't understand what had happened, how he came to be trapped in this alien form. But a spark of hope flickered within him. If he could survive here, maybe, just maybe, he could find a way to reverse the process. He had to believe that. One day he stumbled upon a structure unlike anything he'd seen before. It was metallic, angular, jarringly out of place amidst the organic curves of the alien landscape. A surge of adrenaline shot through him. Could this be it? Could this be his way back home? He cautiously approached the structure, his alien senses on high alert. As he drew closer, a faint hum resonated from within, a familiar hum. He recognized the sound. It was technology, human technology. Hope surged within him. Stronger than ever before, he was close, he could feel it. He found a way inside. The structure was a research facility, abandoned but still functional. He navigated the corridors, his heart pounding with a mixture of trepidation and anticipation. He found a room filled with monitors, flickering with static. He reached out, his alien hand hovering over the control panel. As he touched the surface, the screens flickered to life, bathing the room in a cold blue light. And then he saw it, a face staring back at him from one of the monitors. His face! But it couldn't be. He was looking at his own face. Confusion washed over him. Was he not in an alien body? Was this all just a hallucination? Section 6. Whispers of a Conspiracy. In the dead of night, shadows whispered secrets that the daylight dared not reveal. The air was thick with tension, and every rustle of leaves seemed to carry a hidden message. He delved deeper into the facility, accessing data logs, piecing together fragmented recordings. Each file he uncovered painted a more disturbing picture, a mosaic of deceit and danger. The deeper he went, the more he realized how far-reaching the conspiracy was. The truth, when it began to reveal itself, was more sinister than he could have imagined. It wasn't just a simple cover-up, it was a web of lies spun with meticulous precision. The implications were staggering, and the stakes were higher than he had ever anticipated. This wasn't just an accident. The evidence pointed to something far more nefarious. The broken machinery, the burnt-out vehicles, the derelict structures, all were pieces of a puzzle that hinted at a deliberate act of sabotage. This was a deliberate act, a project gone wrong, or perhaps, terrifyingly, a project that had gone exactly as planned. The scientists involved were not just careless, they were complicit. They knew the risks, and yet they proceeded, driven by ambition or something darker, or perhaps, terrifyingly, a project that had gone exactly as planned. The dawn of realization was as ominous as the sunrise over the deserted area. He pondered the motives behind such a dangerous experiment, questioning the ethics and the end goals. He learned of Project Mimic, an experiment in consciousness transfer. The technology was groundbreaking, yet terrifying. It allowed a human mind to be transferred into an alien host, a concept that blurred the lines between science fiction and reality. He learned of the technology that allowed a human mind to be transferred into an alien host. The implications were profound, raising questions about identity, morality, and the very essence of what it means to be human. And he learned of the risks, the possibility of rejection, of the host consciousness fighting back. The stormy skies mirrored the turmoil within him as he grappled with the potential consequences of such a transfer, the possibility of rejection, of the host consciousness fighting back. The intense stares and uneasy glances were not just paranoia, they were signs of an internal struggle, a battle for control that could have catastrophic outcomes. He had become the host. The realization hit him like a tidal wave. He was no longer just an observer. He was a participant in this dangerous game. The solitary figures and deserted streets mirrored his isolation and the gravity of his situation. But what had become of his own consciousness? The empty benches and swings were symbols of his lost identity, a haunting reminder of what he had sacrificed. As the shadowy figure walked away, he wondered if he would ever reclaim his true self. Section 7. The Shocking Revelation. This is where everything changes, where the truth is laid bare, and the world as he knew it would never be the same again. The recordings led him to a secure chamber, sealed behind a heavy blast door. The facility was hidden deep within the wilderness, a place forgotten by time and untouched by civilization. The air was thick with anticipation as he approached, each step echoing the weight of his discovery. With a shuddering clang, the door slid open, revealing a single stasis pod in the center of the room. The pod was unlike anything he had ever seen, a marvel of advanced technology, glowing with an eerie light that cast long shadows on the walls. He knew with a chilling certainty what he would find inside. His heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat of fear and anticipation. The air seemed to grow colder, the silence more oppressive, as he stood there, frozen in place. He approached the pod slowly, each step heavy with dread. The ground beneath his feet felt unsteady, as if the very earth was reacting to the gravity of the moment. His mind raced with questions, each one more terrifying than the last. He peered through the transparent casing, his breath catching in his throat. The sight before him was both familiar and alien, a twisted reflection of his own existence. The pod's glass was cold to the touch, a barrier between him and the truth. There he was, his body. It was a surreal moment seeing himself from the outside, as if he were a mere observer in his own life. The realization hit him like a tidal wave, overwhelming and inescapable. His own body, lying dormant, kept alive by the advanced technology of the pod. But it wasn't empty. He could see it. The intricate machinery hummed softly, a testament to the power and precision of the technology that sustained him. Another consciousness, another presence, lurking beneath the surface. It was a shadow, a whisper at the edge of his mind, something dark and insidious. He could feel it, a cold, creeping sensation that sent shivers down his spine. Someone else was in control. The thought was both terrifying and infuriating. His life, his memories, his very essence were being manipulated by an unseen force. The realization was a dagger to his heart, a wound that would never heal. Someone else was living his life. The enormity of the revelation was almost too much to bear. He felt a surge of anger, of helplessness as he stared at the pod. This was his reality now, a twisted nightmare from which there was no escape. Section 8. Trapped in a nightmare. He slammed his fist against the stasis pod, a guttural roar escaping the alien throat he was now trapped within. Despair washed over him, cold and suffocating. He was trapped in this alien body, his own life stolen, his future erased. What had they done to him? Why? He was a prisoner in his own right, a ghost in an alien shell, forced to watch as his life, his dreams, everything he held dear slipped away. He was adrift in a sea of despair with no land in sight. Was there any way back from this abyss? Section 9. A desperate hope. But even in the face of such despair, a flicker of defiance ignited within him. He wouldn't give up. He wouldn't let them win. He would find a way to reclaim his life, to expose the truth of Project Mimic. He had to, for himself and for all the others who might become victims of this horrifying experiment. He would fight, he would survive, he would find a way back. He had to.